Hi guys, today I'm going to be doing CHING number 157. I probably see, hopefully you guys can see that. I got a new piece of artwork back here on my wall. Eric won that for me at an auction. It's by an artist, his name is Ray Caesar. Oh, it's perfect. You guys know I love all things weird and creepy, but also cute. So it just ticked all the boxes for me. Had to have it. There was also a couple other art pieces that he won that day at the auction. We have another one hanging in our stairway, so if I can get like a decent picture of that, I'll post it so you can see what it looks like. Amazing. That one's also by Ray Caesar. Anyway, let's get into this CHING. First thing that I have is a Polly Pocket play set. This one was called Strolling Baby. This was a vintage Polly Pocket play set that sold for $34.99. I also sold this weird, it was made of like a stoneware type of material, very heavy, anthropomorphic looking pea pod. It was by, the company's called Thrift Studios, and I have sold something else by this brand before. This particular piece, the pea pod, I got it off of a free table at a yard sale, so I paid nothing for it, and it sold for $34.99. You can't beat a profit when you're getting the item for free, so that was awesome. I also sold a pair of vintage Zodiac boots. These did take a while to sell. I picked these up at a church sale at one point, and those sold for $79.99. I think in my last CHING I had a bunch of My Little Ponies. You might see some in this CHING as well. They're still selling pretty frequently. This one was called Twirler. She sold for $45. I also sold, this was someone's little moth specimen collection. It was actually done by someone who I guess had to do it for like a college course of some sort. On the back it had the person's name and their like college course kind of thing, but it was older. It definitely was vintage. That sold for $49.99. It seems like I have sold other kind of like entomology type you know, collections before, so anytime I see them I like to pick them up because, you know, people do like decorate with them and things like that. I like the weird and unusual, but I don't have, like, I don't really keep those type of things per se. Let's see, the next item was actually a set of two. These were called Geeky Tikis. Picked these up at a yard sale. One was the Snow Miser and one was the Heat Miser. These were new. They sold as the set for $99.99, and I feel like I paid, I want to say maybe I paid $8 a piece on those, which was still a very great deal for them. Next item went to a subscriber named Karen. This was a shiny bright ornament that sold for $19.99. We also sold a Viking glass blue mushroom. I think we took a best offer on this one, and that sold for $275. Next item was a Mickey Mouse figure. This was put out specifically for like a railroad type of thing. It was called a Pride Lines, and that sold for $37.99. Next item was an early American pressed glass uranium vase. They called this a sunk daisy vase. That was like just a technical term for it. I don't fully understand these things, but that's what it was called. That sold $49.99. Next item was a vintage gem doll. This one was called the Rockin' Curl doll. She sold for $59.99. This next item was so stinking cute. It was definitely one of those things where like I just feel like I never seen this before until it showed up at an auction. This was a Left an Angel. like an angel of the month, but it was for July. So super cute, definitely desirable, this one. It sold for $125. Next couple of items went to Sarah. She purchased a bunch of cat related items. So the first thing was, well, actually the first two things were these small wood pottery cats. I still have quite a few of these left. So the first one sold for $17.99. I think I sent out an offer on that, and then from there I think she just started shopping. So the next one was also a small wood pottery cat. That one sold for $19.99. The next were a set of two just little miniature cat figures, but these were by an artist named Diane Fox. Those sold for $19.99, as well as an S. Nichols Elliott. This was like a cat related art piece that sold for $35.99. These were so cute. I actually have, I think, one in the booth, and I still have some listed, and I just can't believe that they're not selling as quickly as I thought they would, because they're so stinking adorable. Let's see. So the vintage Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Caveman Leonardo. He sold for $39.99. Next was a My Little Pony. This one was called Satin and Lace. So she was a wedding themed pony, and she sold for $79.99. We also sold an old Patagonia vase. This one had a dragonfly on it and sold for $91. As well as a Boyd glass. This was a Vaseline glass. It was a little taxi cab. That sold for $44.99. Also sold a Lennox Mickey Mouse figure. This was a birthday related figure for the month of August. That sold for $25.99. As well as this was a porcelain fish by Lomonosov. It's a Russian brand, Lomonosov. That sold for $29.99. This nice item I had for a while. This was one of the first things I won at one auction that we go to. I remember it clearly in my head. But it was from 1973, a Minnie Mouse clock. But it was on a necklace. It was like a kid's necklace clock. So all plastic. It was made by Mark's Toys. That sold for $39.99. Let's see. Also sold a Philosophy Amazing Grace 2-in-1. This was the jumbo size, brand new. That sold for $29.99. A Norman Brum copper and enamel wren bird sculpture. That sold for $170. This next item was a Game Boy Advance game, Dragon Ball Z, but this was still sealed, hence why it sold for so much. It sold for $140. Here's another piece of Vaseline glass. This one was a Westmoreland Hen on a Nest. That sold for $99.99. Also sold a vintage from 1983 Strawberry Shortcake plush doll of Cherry Cuddler. This came from a church sale. That sold for $36. I've sold one of these before also in the past, so I thought it was interesting that I came across another one. Sometimes, you know, you'll sell something and you're like, oh, I'll never find this again. You know what I mean? And then you do. So it's funny how that happens. I sold a little wooden display for Calico Kittens, the little Calico Kittens figures. I think they're made by Enesco. So this was just like the display that you could display the cats on. I got this at a yard sale. I think I only paid $0.25 for it, and it sold for $29.99. I also sold a hanging witch for $26.99. Here's another, there's a bunch of Vaseline glass. Bunch of Vaseline glass came up at an auction, so this was probably all around the same time here. So this one was an early American press glass Duncan Daisy and Button Vaseline. It was shaped like a dustpan, just really unique. I've never seen anything like it before. That sold for $49.99. Here's another My Little Pony. This one was still sealed. Still sealed. So that, again, this is why it went for so much money. But this was the Princess Sparkle Pony, sold for $192.50. Crazy. Another Vaseline glass piece. This one was by Fenton, and it was a topaz Vaseline bear that sold for $110. Also sold, I think this was my last left in Miss Priss cat mug that sold for $59.99. We also sold a Viking glass owl fairy lamp in the shade Persimmon that sold for $200. So I just found out the other day that Moser Glass purchased the mold for the Viking glass owl fairy lamps. So they brought out the first color of them, and I think they probably sold out like super fast. I probably should have bought one, but I, didn't really think about it. So they will probably eventually just continue to start producing them in different colors. So they will be coming back out with them, but under Moser Glass instead of Viking. So they own the mold now. So, I mean, that's good because there'll be more available for people to put in their collections. I don't know how that'll affect the Viking glass ones, if that'll raise the price on them or maybe lower the price since they'll be back out in production. I have no idea how that's all gonna work out. I don't even know how many more of the Viking glass owl fairy lamps I have. Obviously I have some in my own collection, but I don't know how many more I have available for sale, if any. Next item I have was a vintage Japan. This was Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus egg cups. Again, I've never seen these before in my life. Those sold for $39.99. We sold a Bleak figure. It was just like a harp shaped Bleak Ireland figure for $19.99. This next item was just a My Little Pony accessory piece. It was just like an ice cream cone shaped barrette for one of the ponies that sold for $29.99. You know, when people are trying to complete their figures, their dolls, their ponies, what have you, sometimes just a little accessory piece can sell sometimes for more than the figure is worth. Here's another My Little Pony. This one was called a Rainbow Curl Pony. She sold for $39.99. This next item was just great. This was for a vintage from 1975 made by Whammo. They called this a magic window. It was filled with this glow-in-the-dark kind of sand substance. So when you flipped it, however which way, it would land, and it was so like calming to watch just swirl and move around. Anyway, this was in a box of stuff from an auction, just mixed in with some like random just games and things like that. I was crossing my fingers that people weren't really like digging around the box too much, and I think Eric walked off with the box for like $15. Sold for $199.99. Absolutely amazing. Sold a vintage by Windmere lighted makeup vanity mirror for $44.99. I actually use one of these myself. It's not a vintage version, but I think I got it off of like Amazon or whatever. But I have very fond memories of watching my mom do her makeup using, you know, one of those old ones. I remember I used to love playing with it because it had these knobs on it that would change the color of the lights. It was like a cool, a warm, and something else, you know what I mean? So I don't know, I think that also plays into the fact that I grew up just loving like beauty products and stuff like that. Like I was always obsessed with lip balms primarily. So yeah, just fond memories of watching my mom do her makeup in the morning. And she would curl her hair too every single day. I mean, my mom always was on point before she left the house. Not me. I'm actually kind of a little bit of a slobby person. I hate to admit it. I used to be really good with like putting myself together before I left the house, but now as I'm getting older, I'm just all about comfort. How comfortable am I kind of thing. Next item, this was so surprising. This actually came, and you guys might have seen me pick it up. I was at a church sale and there was a box full of just like toys shoved under a table, and I got quite a few vintage toys out of this cardboard box, and this little dog was one of them. So it turns out this dog was from 1991 called Lil Litters, which I think was like kind of like a My Little Pony thing, but more or less like animal related. And this one was a spaniel dog, and apparently it was very, very desirable. It sold for $99.99. I was just blown away by that one. I feel like I'm blown away a lot of the times, but holy crap, that one was just crazy. I also sold another vintage My Little Pony. This one was called Ruby Kisses. She sold for $53. Here's another vintage toy from 1989. This was called a Little Pretty Pup. I'm pretty sure this came out of that same box at the church sale, and this one sold for $41. Let's see, this was a vintage Hershey Park shirt. I picked this up at a yard sale. I think I paid 50 cents for it. And it featured a ride that they used to have. It's not there anymore, but I remember it fondly from my childhood. It was called Canyon River Rapids. That sold for $39.99. Oh, this next item came from a different church sale. This one came from the church sale that pretty much gave me a panic attack that day. But you guys might remember me looking at like vintage perfumes and stuff like that. It was this little case that had a bunch of these glass vials in it. They were called perfume nips. So basically you would like break off the tip of the vial and then, you know, apply the perfume. So it was absolutely full of these perfume nips. Again, something very desirable. I put it in my bag. It sold for $112.99. Again, mind blown. Next item was a vintage She-Ra outfit. It was called Veils of Mystery. So She-Ra fashion. That sold for $39.99. Again, we have another vintage toy. This one was from 1995. This was a Pound Puppies Pretty Paws play set. So obviously there were, you know, the plush Pound Puppies and stuff like that, but they also had these little tiny miniature kind of PVC figure play sets that sold for $59.99. Next item was a Fossil Flip-O-Matic desk calendar. So this is something that probably was, you know, like a store display kind of thing, probably at like a jeweler where they sold, you know, Fossil watches and things like that. And that sold for $49.99. And the last thing that I have is another My Little Pony. This one was a My Little Pony Sea Pony, and her name was Seawinkle, and she sold for $49.99. So that is pretty much everything for this cha-ching. Let's see, my eBay sales are down 1%, which isn't too bad. I definitely feel like I've been having some pretty good sales lately. So eBay has just been kind of trucking along. Not really a whole lot, I think, to talk about with eBay. Things have just been pretty normal on that front. I'm trying to think of other things that I wanted to talk about. Our antique booth is doing well. I have been doing some whatnot shows. I've been trying to do one every single week, which I've been doing pretty good at. A lot of the times it's stuff that, you know, I have so much stuff, so I'm just trying to like move things. And a lot of the times I feel like people say, you know, people just don't want to spend a whole lot on whatnot because it's mainly resellers buying stuff to just resell. And yeah, I think there are buyers like that on whatnot, but there's also a lot of collectors on whatnot as well. I know I have purchased things for my own collections for lots of money, so like they're definitely out there and willing to spend on the stuff that, you know, they want for their collections. So I'm gonna try and start just maybe putting on, because I have a lot of nice stuff. So I'm thinking of trying some more of my pricier things on whatnot and seeing how it goes. Right now I have a bunch of shows scheduled. I'm doing a doll show tonight. I have a CD show coming up because Eric and I bought like this huge box full of CDs at a yard sale earlier this year, and trying to get rid of those. And you know, I have a Halloween show scheduled. I have like a clothing, shoe, and purse show scheduled. And then I'm thinking of doing like maybe more of like a higher end type of glass show. I don't know, just these thought processes going through my head because I'm at the point right now where like I'm still sourcing and still bringing things in, but I really need to purge as well. And it's kind of sometimes a quicker way of doing it, instead of like putting something on auction and, you know, waiting for it to end, and or, you know, listing it and then waiting until the right person comes along. But I'm still kind of struggling where I don't get a whole lot of people in my shows. So but the people that I do, and I just want to thank you guys because I know some of you are here, Peg, Linda, Dina, like, and I'm sure I'm missing some people and I apologize for that, but I know you're also there purchasing stuff and I'm very, very grateful for that. Also, Dina, I want to give a shout out to her specifically because she sent me, and I'm going to post a picture because I already have it in my Halloween decorating. She sent me a Lori Mitchell little devil figure for my collection. So I just want to thank her for that. That was so sweet of her. Oh my gosh, I was so tickled pink, and it looks absolutely perfect in my Halloween collection. So I just wanted to thank her again, Dina, if you're watching this. I hope you are. And I'm trying to think of anything else that I really wanted to talk about. I feel like there is, and right now I'm drawing a blank for some reason. I did, and I don't know when each of my videos will be posted. I did take a little bit of a break from YouTube. I feel like I need that every so often just to kind of like recharge and not be so stressed out as to what videos I'm going to make and that kind of thing. Like Eric and I also even took a little bit of break from, you know, like yard sailing and things like that, and we went out this past week. So we did a bunch of things this past week where we went to and you saw that video, we went to a church sale and then we went to an estate sale where it was just so weird. Like you had to actually dig and pick for the stuff. Like it wasn't, you know, actually like a set up estate sale or anything like that, which made it really fun, but obviously it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea to have to dig for stuff, but we had a blast, and we got some decent stuff, and I'll probably do a haul of that stuff. I know I had some requests for a haul. I just kind of showed you an overview of my pile of stuff, but I can definitely do a haul of that. And then we had also gone to a rummage sale and that kind of thing, so that video will be up at some point as well. I don't foresee me getting to any kind of sales this week. I know there are some sales this week, but I'll be able to go out on like Thursday, but Saturday I do have to go to a funeral. My mom's, well, one of my mom's best friends passed away, so I will be going to her funeral on Saturday. I just have so many fond memories of her. She was like a big part of my mom's life, and you know, I've known her ever since I was a little girl, and I have very fond memories of her. Going swimming in her pool. She taught me how to play piano, because I wanted to. When I was in elementary school, I wanted to join the talent show, but I didn't really have a talent. So she taught me how to play Mary Had a Little Lamb on my little keyboard. I practiced on her piano, so she taught me how to do that so I could enter the talent show. I didn't win, but I was so proud of myself, because even back then I just had anxieties when I was little, but I still wanted to do things, kind of thing. So yeah, very fond memories of her. I'm so thankful, like, my mom's best friends, like, are still a part of my life. I don't see them super often, not as often as, you know, I'd like to see them, but, we do still all get together. Like, I'll go out to dinner with my mom's friends. So it's really nice that they allow me to be a part of their little get together, because my mom would always go with them, obviously. But since, you know, she's not here, you know, I go, and they like invited me with open arms, obviously, to join them in their get-together. So we go usually once a year, sometimes twice a year. We go out to eat and all get together and just talk about what's going on in our lives. So it's just really nice to be with them. So it's so upsetting, though, that her friend passed. It's like, I try to think in like the positive ways of just, you know, where even though I don't have my parents anymore, like, just to think of like how amazing their reunions are after, you know, someone passes. Like, I can just imagine how wonderful it is for them. I mean, obviously us here, it's absolutely devastating, but for them, it's just gotta be so amazing to like see someone again, you know what I mean? Because I do, like, I think like we're all gonna see each other again at some point. Like, it's just that's the how it's gonna happen. So, you know, it's just, oh, it gives me kind of like goosebumps actually, just to even like think about it. Like, I have great just, you know, feelings that even like when I'm leaving here, that, you know, everyone is just going to be there, and it's just going to be absolutely amazing. So I don't know, that's just my thought processes, and it helps me cope with, you know, loss a little more as well, because I will say I'm not like a super religious person, and I don't really want to go like into all of that, but I do feel like, you know, I do believe in an afterlife, and I do believe that, you know, there is something more to all of this and that kind of thing. So I don't know, it's so upsetting, and I still like every day like miss my parents so much. But, you know, I just have to keep believing that they're, you know, somewhere else, and that I will see them again. So, you know, I'm not quite ready to see them again, but, you know, when that day comes, I will be absolutely so happy. So yeah, I kind of got on a tangent a little bit there at the end, but hopefully you guys still enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought down in the comments, how things are going for you as far as eBay is concerned. And yeah, just anything that you want to talk about in the comments, feel free. Yeah, and I will see you next time.